That's the sound of a big deal. At Wayfair, that sound happens a lot. Dream sofa for half the price? Big deal. New dining table you've been eyeing for months? Big deal. Finally picking up those last few pieces and finishing that bedroom? Now that's a really big deal. Whatever your home needs, Wayfair has the selection, the savings, and over millions of 5-star reviews to back it up. Shop Wayfair.com today before someone else snags your big deal.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
How many different ways can you start, run, and monetize your business on a budget? Stay tuned and find out.
Welcome.
Okay, here's the question.
Serious?
How are we dark horses? You know, the ones everyone is betting against, the ones they don't expect to win, place, or even show on the track, and they'll even laugh on us when we talk about trying. How do we show the world our greatness and triumph?
Come on.
Well, that's the question, and this podcast will give you the answers.
Let's go.
This is The Dark Horse Entrepreneur. And my name is Tracy Brinkman.
And push it out.
Welcome back to your weekly dose of Learn, Do, Teach on a Budget Learning. I'm your Dark Horse host, Tracy Brinkman, and you, well, that's infinitely more important. You are a driven entrepreneur or one in the making. Either way, you're here because you're ready to start, restart, kickstart, or just start leveling up with some great marketing, personal, or business results in order to build that beautiful business of yours into the empire it absolutely deserves to be. Here we go with another big interview episode today. Today, Sara St. John shares some awesome tips on launching, running, and monetizing your business all on a budget. Plus, I'm going to let you in on next week's interview guest, who is one of the most sought after therapists and trainers for elite athletes. As per usual, the Dark Horse corrals are chock full of personal, business, and marketing GOLD spilling from every corner of the Dark Horse Entrepreneur HQ. So let's get to the starting gates and go. All right, my Dark Horse friends and family. Today's guest is Sara St. John. Now, Sara is an entrepreneur, a podcaster, an online course creator, and an author. She probably doesn't have time to do much else, but that's okay. She's going to tell us a lot about this. Now, she has created several startups throughout her entrepreneurial journey that has covered well over a decade. She currently owns a podcast production agency called Podseam. Podseam. She's also a podcast host of the Frugalpreneur, building a business on a bootstrap budget, which aims to show people how to launch and manage an online business on a budget. Had to get Sara on with that one. Sara, welcome to the Dark Horse Entrepreneur.
Well, thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. I literally want to step back from my mic and kind of, give you the opportunity just to tell your story, the ups and downs and trials and tribulations of Sara St. John to get to where you're at now and why you love doing what you do so much.
Sure. Yeah. So I started my entrepreneurial journey over a decade ago, and well, technically, actually, I guess I've kind of been an entrepreneur since the get-go, because I remember as a kid, like getting free candy and pencils and things like that, and then selling them to my friends.
Nice.
But I didn't start my first actual business until, I think, 2008. I had 6 different jobs that year, not at the same time, but throughout the course of that year, and things just weren't working out. And I was just getting frustrated, and I was like, I just want to work for myself and start my own business. And the first thing that came to me was photography, because I had liked doing that. So I had a photography business for about 7 years. And I realized that even though I like taking photos of landscapes and architecture and animals and things like that, I didn't really like taking photos of people, which is where that's where the money is. I was doing weddings and whatnot.
Gotcha.
And but in addition to that, just the upkeep and maintenance of a photography business, like with the camera equipment, lighting, software, just all of that stuff. Mm-hmm. I was like, I would like to switch over to an online business model. So there isn't generally it depends on what you're doing, but that overhead costs. Mm-hmm. And so I tried a few different things. Like I had a t-shirt business, like a print on demand, and I did drop shipping and affiliate marketing and just all these different things. And I was discovering all these tools and resources that you could use to run an online business for either for free or on a budget. And so I thought I should write a book about this.
Mm-hmm.
And I was actually in a Dave Ramsey, the financial peace class, and he was talking about, how to save money and pay off debt and all this. And I was thinking, okay, all these ideas are great, but what about making more money and, to help with accelerate that? And so actually, so that it was in that class that the idea or the word frugalpreneur came to my mind. So I was like, okay, I can write a book and I'll call it Frugalpreneur. And then when I was writing the book, I was like, I should start a podcast because I had just started listening to podcasts. And just loved it so much and was like becoming addicted to listening to it that I was thinking, okay, I could launch a podcast to kind of coincide with the book. And then, but it was just going to be like a short term thing, like maybe 10 episodes or something,
Sure.
Well, I ended up really loving podcasting, and actually the podcast was doing better or I don't know, getting more leverage, I guess, than the book was.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, maybe I'll stick to this. And so I've been now focusing on podcasting. And then I have a tendency, I guess, to when I learn something and feel like I've nailed it down pretty well, to then try to do it for other people and make money doing that. So then I just started this podcast production agency because I've been producing my own podcast, and then came out with a directory, podcastresourcedirectory.com, which is just a directory of all the different like podcasting resources and whatnot that I use or recommend or have heard of. And just because when I was learning about podcasting at the time, there wasn't like a central place you could go to kind of see all your options and whatnot.
Sure.
So I did that, and now I'm working on a course as well. So I'm hoping that'll be out by the end of the year, but we'll see.
And I'm sorry to interrupt. What's your course going to be about?
About podcasting, like teaching people how to start a podcast, and then, so all the technology and things like that. But then going beyond that to talk about like how to be a guest, how to host, just all those types of details.
All those fear factors, right?
Right. Yeah. So that's what I'm focusing on now, is all things podcasting.
So you've probably traveled a journey that many who may be listening or will be listening have traveled. In other words, you were working, you did one thing. In your case, it was photography for a while. Then you started venturing off into the online world. You dipped your toe, it sounds like, into t-shirts and drop shipping and affiliate marketing, and probably that's just scratching the surface, I would imagine. And across that, you found podcasting, right? You went from your book, wanted to use the podcast to help, I guess, promote the book or raise awareness of the book, and end up finding you were getting more leverage, I think was the phrase you used, in the podcast than the book. So now here you are, you're like, oh, I actually like doing this. So you've traveled this road of trying a number of different things and landing where you're at. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah. And I actually just came out with my third book, and it's about podcasting. So yeah, I've, I guess, traveled the road and landed on the yellow brick road. I don't know.
Right.
And landed on podcasting.
Now, had you, when you were going through the journey, had you ever just kind of sat down and said, you know what, here are the guidelines for my business? Or was it more of, I'm just going to start trying things until I find something A, that works, or B, that I like?
Yeah, probably that second one.
It's okay. I did the same thing.
Well, and I even had a travel agency, an online travel agency, for like 5 years during that whole. I actually recently closed that because I wanted to focus just on podcasting at this point. But yeah, so I was kind of all over the place trying different things.
But I think the good thing, we travel the road, and we learn along the way. Hopefully we learn along the way, right? But it sounds like during your travels, you did learn a lot along the way, and you actually pulled some of those things together and those tools and resources, and what have you. But I want to spin back around to the frugalpreneur and its topic. I mean, I know some of the things you like to chat about is, and I found this most intriguing, how to start an online business for under $5, and then how to maintain that business for under $100 a month. God knows, I would have loved to have known that information probably just a couple of years ago, let alone, maybe a half a decade ago. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So, to start a online business for under or around $5 is basically, once you decide what you want to do, and the first thing you need to do is have a website, and you can get a domain for only $1 on oneandone.com. That's the number one. And well, it's $1 for the first year, and then $15 every year after that. And so that's $1. And then the website you could do for free through WordPress. Well, you have to have hosting, which you can get for like $3 a month, depending on which host you use. And then a logo, which you could actually do for free in Canva or for $5 in Fiverr. And then an email list. Start that right away, which you can actually do for free as well with, a lot of companies are starting to come out with a free option, but it's only up to so many subscribers. But the two that I recommend are MailerLite and SendFox. I just recently discovered SendFox, and I think for content creators, especially like if you're a podcaster, a blogger, a YouTuber, that it's especially helpful because you put in your YouTube channel and your RSS feed, and it automatically generates newsletters every week. Yeah. And it's free too. Well, up to, I think, 3,000 subscribers. And then for every 1,000 after that, I believe it's a flat $10, not $10 a month, but just like $10 per.
And that's, you said that one was called SendFox?
SendFox.
I like the auto-generate newsletter option. That's kind of a cool idea.
Yeah, I really love it. It saves a lot of time.
Well, and I think that's one of the key things that a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with. It's like, okay, great. I got all this started. I went out, I got my $1 domain, I got my $3 hosting. I whipped up a logo in Canva. Maybe even I whipped up a lead magnet to start building my email list. Now I gotta keep creating content, and gosh darn, does that take forever?
Yeah. Yeah. So I really like it because you can set it up to, when it creates the newsletter, to automatically send it out or to save it as a draft so that you can go in and, edit it however you want to.
Nice.
So that's what I do, because sometimes I'll add extra stuff in there, but it's nice that at least as far as any kind of blog post or podcast episode, it'll automatically add that in there.
Nice. No, I really like that option.
Yeah.
So I know one of the things, and I want to come back to the $100 a month maintenance thing, but I know one of the things that, and I'm a big proponent of this too, is having your own website versus utilizing all the social options that are out there.
Yeah. I've heard it said by a few different people, Chris Ducker being one of them. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, but he's the you-preneur. Everyone's a blankpreneur, it seems. But basically, if you're on Facebook and all this, which, yeah, you should have social media accounts, of course, but if that's the only place you go, then it's like your business is on rented land versus owning land, which would be your website and your email list. Because, who knows what will happen to Facebook and all the other social media platforms in, a decade or whatever, if they'll be around or if they'll change so much that, because the algorithms are always changing and all that stuff. And so, yeah, it's important to have a social presence and whatnot, but you need your own website and your own email list. Otherwise, you're basically renting all your contacts. And yeah, I know several people who have, they run their business basically on Facebook. And I keep telling them they need their own website, but anyway.
Well, and there's, and I think one of the real big challenges, and of course, right now with everything that's going on with COVID, and we're in an election year, and there are some heated topics flying around, and all it takes is for someone to say, and I'm going to use air quotes, although you can't see me, the wrong thing. And then that social media platform says, you know what, we're going to put you on hiatus for 30 days, or worst case scenario, we're going to close your account. And I've seen a number of accounts have that happen to them, whether it was about COVID or politics or whatever, that's happened to him. I have a gentleman who I listen to. He's out of Australia, and he's been doing his podcast for, I know he's on episode 500, so it's been a long time. And someone actually hacked his Facebook account where he had built a following and a group where they would all, interact with one another. And, they posted some pretty not nice stuff, right? Some very anti-US sentiments in that platform. And so they shut him down. And he's been struggling for the past 2 months trying to get that turned back on. Now, luckily, he had done, like you said, he has his own website and he has his email list. So he's still able to communicate with his followers. But in the meantime, an avenue of interaction with his base is now completely gone. If he didn't have, like you said, that website and what have you, he could have really put a huge dent in his business.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many different scenarios where that could happen. And, yeah. And as far as like Facebook groups go, I've been thinking about starting a community or group or whatever, but I don't want to do it on Facebook. I haven't decided where I'm going to do it yet. Maybe Mighty Networks or something like that. But, yeah, cause I mean, I'm just afraid that like eventually maybe Facebook will go away or change. It almost seems like it's going to change to an ad platform or something at some point.
No, if it already hasn't.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry to interrupt. I think you're right. And I think social networking is certainly in flux. If we think about how it was 3 years ago, right? Versus how it is now, it's definitely, the landscape has changed. So yeah, 3 years from now, who knows?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like changing so quick, and yeah, everyone should be on social media, but don't bank on that being around forever. Or
it's I think it's like, well, if you think about business in general, if you put all of your eggs in one basket, we'll say advertising basket, if all your leads only come from this one source, what happens if that source dries up, or someone else gets better at it than you? Then your business takes a hockey stick in the wrong direction, and now you're scrambling to figure out what to do. Where if in the meantime you keep nurturing that one source while building other sources for leads, then if one takes a shot in the neck, you're still good.
Yeah, exactly. Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
There we go. So let's loop back around to this. I know we chatted a bit about the getting started for $5, which is anyone who's been around for 5 minutes can figure that out. And anyone that hasn't, right, the options are definitely there. But share more about the maintaining your online business for under $100 a month.
Yeah, sorry, we got sidetracked with all social media stuff.
No, that's good. That's fine.
Well, so okay, your monthly fees will depend on what you end up doing, whether it's, drop shipping, affiliate marketing, podcasting, blogging, coaching, consulting, because you'll need different tools for different things. But like for me, for example, so of course, to maintain a website and email list, that's included in that 100. But then I use different tools for podcasting, for editing, you could use Audacity, which is free. And then I use something called Repurpose for where it takes your audio and turns it into a video basically and posts it to YouTube. Well, it's like an audiogram basically. And I think that's like 12 a month. And then podcast hosting. I was on Spreaker and that was 7 a month, but now I'm on Captivate and that's 19 a month. And so those are kind of the fees associated with podcasting. Of course, I recommend getting let's see, I have the ATR 2100 mic, and then there's also the Samsung Q2U. Both of those mics are like $60 or $80, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, actually on my website, I have a little thing on the sidebar, an Amazon link basically, and it is an affiliate link. I have to say that because of FTC, right. But it has this whole podcasting kit. It has the Samsung Q2U, the pop filter, the windshield, all that stuff. And it's like $90 for the kit. So getting started with podcasting is probably going to be around $100, like one time.
Mm-hmm.
But then if you wanted to try like drop shipping, for example, which I don't know, maybe you or your audience aren't familiar with that term or what that is.
I am, but please feel free to share.
You're now listening to
the Dark Horse Entrepreneur Podcast.
So it's basically, you're like the middleman between the customer and the wholesaler. So basically you set up a shop online, and this is an area where a lot of people kind of start with online business, is set up a shop online, and you work with wholesalers. AliExpress is a big one. And the items are, now the issue is they're from China usually. So the delivery time is pretty long, like, 2 to 3 weeks maybe, or longer sometimes.
Yeah.
So that's one thing you have to take into consideration, because people are so used to getting stuff in 2 days from Amazon.
Right.
So you got to let people know, but when it comes from China, you can get it at such a great rate. Like, for example, I had a baby clothing. Actually, I still have it, but I don't work on it a whole lot. It's called Funzie Onesie with Z's, Funzie, like FUNZIE, onesie, ONEZIE.com. And it's a baby clothing, like onesies and whatnot. And so the onesies, let's say, well, it's not just onesies, it's outfits too, but maybe it's $1 or $3, something like that would be the wholesaler price. But then you could charge like $10, $20. Sure. And so the difference is your profit. And there's a couple ways you can do it. I started using Shopify, but that's like $30 a month for a Shopify store. And with Shopify, I used an app called Oberlo, Oberlo. And it's basically like a big marketplace, I guess, for wholesale items. But again, doing it that way was like $30 a month. Well, so when I switched over to WordPress, there was a plugin called Ali Dropship, and it was like a one-time fee of, I believe, $69. So basically, for almost the price of 2 months of Shopify, you could just add this plugin to WordPress. And so that's what I started doing. And the thing about that plugin is that they only display items that are like highly rated and good quality and all this stuff. And so I recommend picking a niche. You can't have like a website that has anything and everything like an Amazon. So like my company, it was baby clothing. So pick some sort of niche, and then you can just add the products to your store. And the way it works is, so when someone orders something on your website, then, you're alerted, and so basically you get the money. So say you're selling something for 20. Well, so now you're getting $20. And then you have to turn around and then buy the item basically for $2 or whatever it is. But the information transfers over, like their shipping address and all that stuff.
Right.
And and then it gets sent to them. So you don't have to maintain an inventory or any of that stuff. So there's basically hardly any overhead, just the, $69 plugin fee,
Right.
or if you're doing Shopify, $30 a month or whatever. Yeah. So that's like a really affordable business option. And then affiliate marketing there's really no cost involved with that other than your website. And that's basically just you referring products and services that ideally that you use and recommend, not just anything and everything, but stuff that you've used and you like. And then say someone clicks on your link, and the way a lot of people do this is they'll have like a resource page on their website. Like maybe they have a blog on a specific topic. So then they'll have a resource page on their website that has different products and services that are relevant to that topic that they use or recommend or are familiar with. And then if someone clicks like the link that they've associated with that item, and the person buys, then they'll get a commission is how that works. But you do have to display somewhere on your website, usually like in the footer or something, like an affiliate disclaimer, just letting people know that, so there's so many different ways. You could even do coaching and consulting where maybe you're an expert on a particular topic and you could be a coach or a consultant on that topic. And then that doesn't really cost anything either, other than the website and mailing list. So there's so many ways to make money online with hardly any money up front, not much, and not much maintenance either.
You can actually, combine a lot of those ideas together. So let's say you're someone that's, cracking into the coaching and consulting arena, and you could say any topic you wanted to. Say if you were going to be, let's make it easy and say, oh, I want to be a life coach, right? Then you can say, all right, well, here's some life coach products that are out there that are already existing that have affiliate programs. So you can put those on your website and say, hey, if you don't want to work with me here, try this product over here. It's excellent. And what have you. So now you've gotten things started until you get your, first client or clients. And then inside of there, you can also create a link of, hey, if here are some of the products that you can use to improve your life. And now you're making the Shopify type of store, whether you use Shopify or any other platform that is out there. So now you're kind of, starting at one point and then again, rolling out into multiple arenas, integrating them together into your overall business. That makes sense?
Yeah. I mean, cause I use blogging, podcasting, affiliate marketing, like all that stuff kind of together. And another one that I'm just starting to get into, I had mentioned this a little earlier, is courses. I'm starting a course. And so this is my first time doing courses, but, so that's a way you could kind of, whereas coaching and consulting is kind of more of a one-on-one, or maybe you could do some kind of group coaching.
Right.
But a course would be like a one-to-many where you teach something online and there's different lessons and maybe some PDFs and different cheat sheets you can give them and whatnot.
Right.
But, you could sell it like an endless number of times. You teach it once and have it recorded, and then, 1,000 people could buy it.
That's a topic I keep preaching here. Stop trading hours for dollars and start trading value for dollars. So if you wanted to, and I think you would agree with this, you could get 1, 2, 3, 4 people together, teach them that topic, whatever that topic is. Use Zoom, use StreamYard, or Skype, whatever method of recording it, and then turn around, package that together with PDFs and walkthroughs and all the extra assets. And now you've created that course. Those that engaged with you in the beginning can help guide you on, hey, what about these questions? What about those questions? Things that maybe you didn't think of. And at the end of it, you have this done for you course ready to sell to everybody, and a few people that have already gone through it that could give you testimonials and help spread the word.
Exactly. Yeah. And then there's even another method like a summit where you gather up a bunch of different experts in a particular field and then, maybe interview them, or they give like a little hour presentation or something, but then you take all of those, like 30 people or however many, and create like a summit, which I guess is kind of like a course in a way, but with several different people. So there's that option too. There's just so many options.
Yeah, that's a really good one. I've seen a couple of those recently, and obviously, if we both think back, I mean, there were lots of those going around. Oh gosh, for me, it wasn't so long ago. It would have been back in the 90s and early 2000s, where you saw like Brian Tracy and Zig Ziglar and Les Brown and a whole host of other folks in this traveling conference, right? They'd go around onto the big major cities, and they would usually take up an arena for 1 or 2 days and fill that arena with people. And, each presenter would get up there for an hour or two and share their information and sell their products in the back of the room. And they were awesome, amazing events. And just taking an idea like that and scaling it down to, like you're saying, hey, let me get a handful of these experts and let them share their expertise and promote their products, and then market that out. That would be awesome.
Yeah. So you could do like an in-person one, back when in-person events were a thing.
Right.
But of course, then there is overhead costs, like renting out a place and all that stuff. Of course, you could charge higher, but I don't know. I don't know if it balances out. You could do an online one for practically free, I would say.
Practically free, right? Absolutely. And Derek, you can actually do a blend. I mean, I know a friend of mine, Tom Watley, did one here just recently out in, I believe it was Utah, is where we actually held the event. So yeah, you're right. There's some oversized, this is good speaking, some overhead costs associated with that. But because he already had people signed up, early on, he did early sales before you just start advertising the event and get those earlier participants, give them a cut rate price, saying, hey, their regular price is going to be $297 for the live event. If you buy now, it's $197. And now you're building up the funds to fund the actual purchases that you make. And then you sell the online version on top of that for those that can't do the travel or don't want to do the travel due to the current COVID arena. And then inside the arena, I saw, some pictures of it. I didn't participate, but he did do social distancing within the space where they were giving the presentation. So he was still abiding and being safe for everybody, which obviously cut down the number of folks he could sell tickets to, but it was a big success.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I haven't heard of many in-person events going on, so that's pretty cool.
I think this just happened last weekend. So I know there's a number of states where the COVID restrictions are a lot less or non-existent. They're not everyone's feeling the pains of California and in Wisconsin and the like. But certainly there's still opportunities to do in person. We just want to do it, obviously responsibly and wisely.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to going to in-person events again. I was going to go to Podcast Movement. I'm actually based in Dallas, Texas, and it was going to be in Dallas, Texas this year. And so I was looking forward to that because there would be no travel expenses. But then it got canceled and
they moved it all virtual, didn't they?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So not canceled, but yeah, virtual. But then there's PodFest next year. I'm hoping that still happens, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Fingers crossed, right? All right, Sara, I want to give everyone an opportunity if they want to learn more about Sara and all her goodness, all of her body of work. Where should we send them?
Sure. Yeah. Well, you can actually get all 3 of my books for free, PDF versions, at thesarastjohn.com/free. I currently just have my first 2 on there, but by the time this goes live, I'll get that done this weekend. I'll put the 3rd book up there because it just came out this week.
Excellent.
But so I'll have all 3 of those on there. And then so the podcast production agency is podseam.com. And then I'm on social media at the Sara St. John, basically everywhere. And let's see. And then if people are interested in podcasting but don't know where to start, there's well, the book will be good, but also you can go to podcastresourcedirectory.com, which has a few different, resources to get started and whatnot. So, but yeah, I would say that if you're going to go one place, probably thesarastjohn.com/free.
thesarastjohn.com. All right. And I have a whole host of links here, and I just added the Podseam podcast directory, podcastresourcedirectory.com to it. So we'll be sure that all of those are in the show notes so people can just click on them and cruise on over there and check you out. Any final thoughts you want to share with the listeners before we end this up today?
Well, I would say the one thing that I've learned recently that I like to pass along is that I think that, at least I know that this has been true for me and probably a lot of entrepreneurs, is that we kind of get stuck in this learning trap, which it's important to learn, but sometimes we spend so much time learning and we don't even implement what we're learning. So I've recently adopted this motto of, for every hour I spend learning, spend another hour implementing.
Equal parts. I like that.
Yeah.
That sounds like a recipe for success. Huh?
Right. Yeah. Cause it's like, if you're just spending all your time, which, I mean, I guess in the very, very beginning, maybe that doesn't apply. You probably do need to spend more time learning, but at a certain point, you got to start doing what you're learning. So
there it is. And it was funny is that when you were sharing earlier, I actually wrote a note down in here that you like to learn, do, teach, because you were talking about you like learning it and then doing it and obviously sharing that learning with other folks. And that's definitely a part of that. For me, I think it's a huge part of success is that giving back part. Obviously, you do a lot of that with all your resources and you're giving your books away for free, but, learning it, doing it, the equal parts recipe of success we talked about, and then giving back and sharing, whether it's via a podcast or free books or other resource guides, is huge for everybody involved.
Oh, I like that. Learn, do, teach.
Learn, do, teach.
That could be like a slogan.
It absolutely can. I personally think it's one everyone needs to do because so many times we have people out there doing, teaching, and then learning. I'm just saying, I'm not going to name any names. We've all seen them out there. They're making the claims, whatever, right? Hey, it works for them. And I'm not a fan of it. I prefer the learn, do, stumble, trouble, face plant. I get up, dust myself off, learn some more, do some more, and then teach. It's like, okay, now I can go and I can talk and say, do this, don't do that. Here's why, because I've done it. And I pick myself up and dust myself. And I don't want you to go through that. Go for it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
All right, Sarah, thank you so much for hanging out and sharing some of this great knowledge with our audience. I definitely appreciate it.
Well, thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. All right, my Dark Horse friends and family, there you have it. Sara St. John dropping some budgetizing bombs on us. So here's some thoughts I walked away with. Thought number one. Yeah, she traveled a well-worn path, like so many others that you've heard on here. Maybe you haven't know of personally. Maybe you. She shifted her focus from working for others to going after something that she did have a passion for, which in her case was photography. However, she found that her preference for the non-human photography topics weren't quite as lucrative as, say, being a wedding photographer. It just wasn't aligned with her passion. So she moved into the online space, testing the waters on things like on-demand apparel, affiliate marketing, etc., etc. But it was that money-saving event that she went to that sparked her idea of the frugalpreneur, on helping other entrepreneurs start something special on a bootstrap. But then not just focusing on the saving money, but making money all as well to accelerate their revenue building activities, their wealth building activities, you could say, which led to a book and a podcast. That's a long way from her photography days. But by listening to the ideas that she got, she was able to build something that not only aligned with her passion, but delivered value to her market. Thought number 2, starting and running your business on a budget. Yeah, Sara drops so many great tips and resources on how to get your business up off the ground and running for a minimal amount a month initially, and then to keep it running on a very small budget. Look, here's the deal. There are so many offers and services out there that will give you so much for free. You're just going to have to poke around and see what works best for what it is you're trying to do. But for me, here's the real key. You don't need all those bells and whistles right out of the gate. You need the basics, right? Just enough to get you going. You don't need all those shiny bells and those distracting whistles that are just going to take more time and more money to get you started. So figure out exactly what you have to have right now, say even for the next 3 months, and get that, not that. Oh my God, this is so amazing. This is the best thing I've ever seen, and it's everything I need in one package, right? Because most likely, here's what's going to happen. All those bells and whistles, yeah, they're going to take you some time and energy and probably more money to learn, thus slowing down and even stopping the launch path of your little business. And 2, yeah, most likely they'll never get used because while you're taking all that time to learn them, you're not launching your business, which in the long term is what you're trying to do, right? All right. And that in and of itself was the very learning trap that Sara called out towards the end of our time together. So to help avoid that learning trap, spend at least equal parts of time learning and then an equal part of the time implementing. That way you can keep moving forward towards your finish line. Thought number 3, oh my God, there are so many ways to monetize, right? You got affiliate marketing, course creation. You can coach one-on-one. You can coach as a group. Sara and I discussed a number of ways that you could generate your first dollar online to creating an ongoing revenue stream. The ways are as varied as the niches are out there, right? Do not limit yourself to any one way, right? And do not limit yourself to just the ways you see everyone else doing it. If you think of a new way, well, try it. Be bold. Give it a go, right? If it doesn't work, no worries. Now you know it doesn't work. But if it does, bam, rinse and repeat. And then thought number 4, learn, do, teach. I've mentioned this one a few times on this podcast and everywhere else I tend to blab my mouth. But I think it's it's that important I want to call it out again. If you can spend equal amounts of time doing these 3 things, you're on a definite path to success. Learn a task or a skill that is important. Doing it becomes the next important part of your success, right? So you're going to learn, then you're going to do. You're going to hone that skill by doing it. And finally, to further drive home that learning and that doing even deeper by teaching it to others in a way that only you can share it, right? Your unique way, your unique fashion. And then the final step, right? That teaching, that's going to prompt questions from your quote-unquote students, making you think maybe things a little differently, enabling you to further hone the skill, do it even better, thus enabling you to teach it even deeper. Huh? How about that? All right. Now, here's the question. What inspiring tips or thoughts resonated with you in this episode? What were they? Whatever they were, take some time today and put them into action. Get out there, run your race, get your results, and then let me hear about them. No, seriously, I want you to come on over to the Facebook group, the Dark Horse Tribe, or email me directly at tracy@darkhorseschooling.com and share the tips or ideas that you came away with, how you put them into action, and what results you got from them, right? Heck, probably even bring you on the podcast and let you share with everyone else all the goodness that you learned. Now, next week, our next interview episode, my guest is going to be none other than Arnie Gronich, the performance therapist. And Arnie's going to share how he went from literally being dead to becoming one of the most sought after therapists and trainers for elite athletes, the corporate culture, and wellness. Now, I know you want to keep getting all these valuable tips and inspirational stories from this podcast and the amazing guests I'm lucky enough to be able to bring on. So you go on down there, you mash that subscribe button, and while you're there, drop us a 5-star rating and leave us some kind words in the review, right? And of course, don't keep all this entrepreneurial GOLD all to yourself. Share the podcast with other entrepreneurs and business owners that you know will get value from it. And with that, I'm going to leave you as I always do. Think successfully and take action.
Thank you for listening to the Dark Horse Entrepreneur Podcast.
And you know this.
Thanks for tuning in.
Check us out at www.darkhorseschooling.com.
All right.
My name is Tracy Brinkman.